about my game with Judit Polgar. When I played this game, she was very young. We played in international tournament in Brussels. Does anybody here know where Brussels is? Yeah.
I do.
Where? No. No.
Hungary?
No. It is in Belgium.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well,
So Brussels is the capital of Belgium, and we played in a tournament there together with Judith. And I want to show you the game. This is late I played her again, but here I want to show you my first game with Judith. Everybody knows who Judith Polgar is.
Yes.
Okay, good, good.
Is she a grandmaster or a women's grandmaster? Women's
She-
She's a woman grandmaster.
At that time, she was not yet a she was only a women's grandmaster at that time. But later, she became one of the best players in the world, in top 10 in the world. So
Is she now a grandmaster?
she is a grandmaster, yes. And in fact, she was just a politician in Hungary submitted a request to that she will become the president of Hungary.
I know.
But she refused. So I can't brag that I be the president of Hungary, unfortunately. All right. So my main move e4, c5, knight f3, e6.
Wait, you were white?
I was white, yes. d4, cd, knight d4, knight f6, knight c3, d6. So this is the name of this opening is Scheveningen defense of the Sicilian defense Scheveningen variation. So there are many ways to play for white. I always, whenever I faced Sicilian at that time, I always played this move. I like my bishop here in such positions. So she played here. I played here. She played here. No, sorry. Here she played here, of course. Yes. Castle. Bishop e7. So this is all standard Sicilian sort of moves, not very interesting. And now there are many options here. I chose taking here on c6, which is not very exciting, but gives me slight advantage in any variation that black chooses. If black takes here, then I play here, and after this kind of chess, white is definitely better because weak pawn, stupid bishop and stuff like that, right?
Isolated pawns and your rook is in the center.
Yeah, and bishop is very strong here, so this is not a good idea. So in this position, yeah, I took here, and she took with the bishop, and I played a4. a4 stops black from playing b5. Again, slight advantage for white. Why do you think? Why do you think it's advantage for white here?
Before b5 maybe.
And you?
I have a question. Why did you take the pawn? Why did you take the knight on c6? Because then it allowed Judith Polgar to go and then get out her bishop.
Yes, you're right. But it's just a variation. It leads to slight advantage for white. I already knew. I played this before, so I knew that this formation actually gives white slight advantage.
In this
And
position, can you do before b5?
before b5, no, not really. No, the main advantage that I have is that this pawn is a little bit weak because it doesn't have supporters, right? So if I pile up on this pawn, start attacking it with several pieces, it will be quite difficult to defend. At least sometimes that's what happens. So
Knight b5.
I have a slight advantage and very risk-free because my position is very solid. So that's how I wanted to play this game. That- so a4, and the main move is a6.
So you can't play knight d5.
Yeah, right. A6 is the main move, but disadvantage of a6 is what? That I will play here, then I will play here, and then my bishop will come here, and it will be very annoying for black. You see? So I have this plan in my head, and in the game she played this move, which allowed me to play knight b5, which I wanted to do anyway. So this pawn is protected. Knight is attacking this pawn, right? If bishop takes, pawn takes, rook starts attacking this pawn, right? So she played here, knight a7, rook b8, knight takes c6, pawn takes. So,
Now e5.
so we have a different position, right? Compared to what we just discussed. But I still like white, right?
Yeah.
And but you have to play correctly here. If you allow black to play something like this, then black will be in good shape. So I had to sort of follow up with, first I played here, attacking this pawn, and when pawn went here, I played e5. So the move that you suggested, right? Very important to make this move before. If she plays here, imagine this is the position. It's very hard for white to do anything at all because black has these three pawns controlling everything. But if I play e5 earlier, then I break down these three pawns. She has to take. Ah no, she actually played here. Doesn't matter. If she takes, I take with a queen, or I take here. So she played here. And what do you think? Who's better now?
Wait.
White. This bishop is pretty strong, right, on this diagonal. What else is good for you?
You got more pieces. Queen a6.
What?
Queen a6.
Yeah, queen a6 is possible, but in general, looking at this position long term, who is better?
You got the right ones. Black's bishop can't go anywhere.
Well, I prefer white because in positions like that, my bishop is pretty strong on this diagonal. This pawn will be under pressure by this bishop all the time. And as far as I can see, black doesn't really have any counterplay, so I was quite happy with this position. So I played here. So now she cannot take because of this, right? Everybody sees this? So she played here. I played here. Here. And what did I do now? What do you think? I take right, and what's next? What's next?
Queen d2.
Queen d2
Rook
blocks this.
takes d6.
What?
Rook takes d6.
Rook takes d6, but
Bishop f4.
I see it. Yeah, it makes sense.
He plays e5.
Rook takes d6.
You just take
Yeah.
It's just a trick.
Well, let's take a look. Rook takes here. Queen takes. Bishop f4, right? Yes. Yeah, possible, but I think black is totally okay here
Yeah.
after this move. It's just some exchanges. So I think it was possible, but not quite. My second advantage, I have better pawn structure, but my second advantage, very important, that I have two bishops, and she doesn't have two bishops. And what is does it mean when I have when I say two bishops? Yeah, bishop. Well, yeah. So yes, rook take and bishop f4 was possible, but I have a better idea here, which is anybody has any other
c5.
c5. Very good, very good. c5 is very annoying because now when my bishop comes here, looks like I'm winning an exchange, right? But luckily for her, well, luckily, she was a good player by then, so she found this move.
Oh, so bishop takes and then wins the
Yeah, and on this move, simply this move. Isn't it tricky? So I cannot take the rook, right? Because my queen is here under attack. So that was pretty good on her part. In such positions, when you have two bishops and position is moving toward endgame, two bishops usually become very strong. So if you are playing against two bishops, you better not simply go into some endgame without any compensation. Okay? So let's see what happens.
Hey, wait.
Monkey one.
Can you go bishop e4? Because if they take your bishop, bishop takes h7 and win the queen.
What move?
Can you go bishop e4?
But what does bishop e4 do?
Like here?
Yeah, then it unpins your bishop.
Oh, I see. It's possible, yes. But it doesn't do really anything.
Then if
So
you just
yes,
move
you
your rook,
put.
your bishop's on. If black just moves his rook,
What
your
if you
bishop just on his attack.
F6.
Yeah, you can defend it many different ways because I don't really threaten anything with bishop on e4. Bishop is still under attack, so bishop e4 is possible but doesn't lead to anything. What?
Queen h5.
Here, queen h5? No, I don't think so. I don't think.
G6.
G6 will happen, yeah.
E1.
Or rook d8 simply.
Is rook e1.
Yeah, I played rook e1. Who suggested rook e1? Very good, very good. I have to get rid of this pin. Otherwise, my pieces are a little bit pinned here, right? My bishop cannot move because queen is. But here I protect the queen, so. She has to move the rook, right? And now I want to unpin, so I go here, right? So I offered her to exchange queens and go into endgame, right?
Yeah.
Now I have a question for everybody. What should she do? Should she take here or should she move the queen away?
Move away.
I think she should move away because whenever you're in a worse position, you don't want to trade with your opponent because then it gives them more advantage since you don't have that piece and they're already better.
Anybody else want to say something? Yeah.
I think they shouldn't trade because, like, if they trade, then towards the end game, you're gonna have the very strong bishops, and you're gonna like rule the board.
Yeah. Anybody else? What do you think?
Don't trade.
Don't trade. Everybody says don't trade, but and you're totally right. It was a big mistake on her part to trade, and she traded. Now I have ideal endgame because in such endgame when there are two bishops and pawns on two sides of the board, it's very hard to defend such endgame because white just has clear advantage and can play for a long time totally safe. So here she made a mistake by exchanging queens.
Now she needs to defend the pawn, no?
Well,
The c pawn.
sort of, yeah.
Because then bishop takes b4 and then bishop takes e6.
Yeah, yeah. So what did she do? She played here. So obviously, yeah.
Trade?
Yeah, trade.
Yeah, rook takes.
If bishop takes here, what will happen?
The knight will take on c6.
Then the knight will.
Oh yeah, I mean if bishop takes here and then take
Then
here.
you take the pawn.
No, but then the knight is defending.
Well,
the
this, and if she takes here, my idea was simply to play here. You see this check leads to what? Total exchanges,
Yeah,
and
it's opposite colored.
and it is dead draw because white cannot win this position because
Opposite colored.
yeah, everything is protected, right? White has an extra pawn, but black protects this pawn with the bishop. This can all easily be protected also, and nothing can be done. The game will go into a draw.
If you were winning, why did you want to draw?
Well, I didn't want a draw, so I didn't play this variation. So what's the move here for white?
c1.
Rook where?
c1.
Rook c1 is possible, but doesn't lead to anything special, right? Because you still cannot take because of this,
But
right?
then you can block with your white bishop.
Yeah, but it's not much. No, no. Rook has to go to d1, where it's threatens to go to d7, right? If I can get my rook to d7, I would be in great shape. Well, for now, she played f6. Well, now if I go rook, rook can come here, so I go here king first, right, to prevent this rook from activization. Yes, everybody sees this? And she decides to defend it like this. But of course, after this check and this, I'm starting to attack these pawns, right? Bishop is attacking this pawn, rook is attacking this pawn. It's becoming harder for her to defend. Again, two bishops in an open position in the endgame are usually very strong. So she played here, and after some thinking, I decided to go into opposite bishop endgame, which is a big decision. I give up my bishop for knight, but for this I get this pawn starting moving toward becoming a queen, right? Bishop d4, a6. Right? So now, if she takes here, right, what will happen?
A7.
A7, and it's impossible to stop, right? You see this? It's impossible to stop because I threaten rook check.
But what if?
And
What about after
King
A7?
G7,
King G6. King G6. That's why.
in which position?
After bishop takes b2.
Bishop b2, I go a7,
King g6.
king where?
g6.
Yeah, well, but this pawn is almost a queen, so I just go here and nobody can stop this pawn from becoming a queen. You see? Okay? So she couldn't do this. So obviously this pawn is way too dangerous. She has to get rid of it. And so she found this idea. Her idea is to exchange rooks, and then she thinks that bishop ending will be a draw, despite I having an extra pawn. So I take here with check, right? King d8, b3, and now we have this interesting endgame. Usually in the endgame, this is opposite bishops, right? One goes on white diagonals, the other goes on black diagonal. So, and I have one extra pawn, right? So usually it's not enough to win. But in this game I won. So we will go over the game and see whether she could do better than. So her idea is that this pawn will be stopped by the bishop and king will protect these pawns and nothing much will happen. But let's go over the game and see. Not so simple. Well, obviously I move away from this bishop. So my king wants to go in that direction. So I move and she moves. I move, she moves. I move, she moves, right? So we have this basic position. Bishop stops this pawn from advancing. King, black king protects three pawns here. Looks like a draw, right? Difficult to see how can anybody win here. Yeah.
You could possibly do something with the G pawn and try to push it up. And try to go take on f6
You
or
might,
a6.
you might try to put her in 6-1.
Maybe that's very good, very good. Something like this is happening. Yes, I have to advance this pawn. There is no other plan for me. And the Zugzwang maybe is coming. So otherwise it's impossible, right? Because if my king goes in this direction, her king goes in that direction. If my pawns are advancing, we sort of exchange everything. So where is the win? My biggest advantage is that this pawn, right? It's far advanced, it just needs two squares to become a queen, right? So black has to be very careful about this pawn. Let's take a look. Bishop d5, bishop a7, and I start moving pawns. Bishop d6, h4, bishop a7, f4, bishop b6, and finally I played g5, right? There is nothing else, yes.
Are you gonna try to do a breakthrough?
What?
Are you gonna try to do a breakthrough?
Breakthrough?
Yeah, pawn breakthrough.
Well, I don't think there is possible to have a pawn breakthrough here. 3 against 3. No, I have a tricky idea here. I wanted them to go there, but meanwhile not allow this king to go there. That's my idea. And this is I'm trying to achieve by playing here first. She takes, I take. She takes, I take. So we exchanged a lot, right?
Yeah.
Almost everything is exchanged. I'm up a pawn, and again, my idea is to somehow get to here without her king getting there. So let's see how I executed this. First I went here, then I went, and here I went king f5. You see, the idea is, maybe she misplayed it previously, but now, what can she do? You see what's happening here?
King e5.
Well, king e5, I go king e5. That's basically what happened.
Oh.
And then you go king d6.
King d6, I go here. And you see, king cannot get to this pawn. My king finally will get here and win the game. Let me show you how the game went.
Wait, this could be promoted.
I played here, she played here, I play here, she played bishop here, I go here, she went here, what else can she do? And finally I go here and she resigned. Why? Because I go here, next move, then pawn goes here, bishop has to give up itself for the pawn and I'll have an extra bishop, right?
Yeah.
So this was a good game because many people would think that it was a draw, but I don't see a draw. I see maybe white was winning the whole way, right? And the main mistake for black was that she exchanged queens, remember? And almost everybody here voted not to exchange queens, so I'm very impressed. I played Judit one more time a couple years later in Salamanca, which is Spain, and at that time her rating was already higher than mine, and she was one of the best players already. But the game there, it ended in a draw, and in the end I tied for first in the tournament, and she didn't do well at all. And I remember her mother, who was with her at that time, was asking organizers to start the game earlier in the day, because in Spain is a special country. They do everything in the late afternoon, sort of start the game maybe at 5 or 6, and that means that if the game starts at 6, then at 10 it ends. But for Judith, she was just a girl. It was very difficult to play so late in the day. So I remember her mother asked, maybe is it possible to start the game earlier? But of course, it's kind of difficult to do that. So she had to play together with everybody, kind of late games, and she didn't do well at all that tournament. But I made a draw with her there. So that's. Anybody has any comments or questions?
Who else was in that tournament?
Well, some. I don't know whether you know those names.
Any of the world champions?
No world champions. Judith later became one of the top 10 players in the world. So she became very, very strong, and that's why recently she was nominated to become a president, but she refused this nomination. President of Hungary, imagine Judit Polgar, President of Hungary. And I remember her small girl running around. Yes.
How was your game?
What? Well, that's another story. I played Michael Tal once, and it was a very interesting game. But what can I say?
We already made a video on the channel about that game.
We did.
You guys have to check it out. You have to check it out. We already covered that many years ago.
Yeah.
It's on the YouTube channel.
What's your YouTube?
I'll tell you guys. We'll have the link there. All right. Can we give Sergey a round of applause, guys?